Have I grown taller in my legs? That's a question a lot of people have asked me about. They want to know, where did I experience my growth? Did I experience my growth in my torso, or was it my legs, or was it both? My typical response has been, I don't know. However, in this video, I'm going to talk about the possibility that I may have grown in my legs. Now, again, I've always believed that I probably did grow in my legs, but uh, I could never prove that. I don't think I could. I never thought I could really prove that. Um, but it was my belief, because I did things to address growth in my legs along with my torso. And so in this video, I'm going to present some data to you that may indicate that there is a possibility that there indeed was growth in my legs. And what we're going to use is my tibia length. I have a screenshot here. I'll just read it. It says, can tibia length predict height? And it says, so the tibial length correlates highly with stature estimation. The heights of males and females can be derived from the tibial length by using the regression equation derived from this study. And it shows the study here. It's a link to it. And it gives a formula for males and the formula for females. Okay. Now, before we get to the data that I'm going to show you, I do want to disclose something that I've already disclosed in the past. However, I think the video where I disclosed it, I may have taken it down, and that was my wingspan measurement. The video with my wingspan measurement, I think I took that down. But based on my wingspan, in other words, the measurement from the tip of one hand to the tip of the other one, based on that measurement, it would indicate that my height would be around 6 feet. I think it was like 6.5 an inch, something like that. Okay. Now, a few days ago, this week, I actually made a post on this channel. It wasn't a video, it was just a picture post, and it showed that the mummified remains of a Caucasian male, and based on his wingspan, he was possibly 6'6". Okay, I'm bringing that point out to, to just be clear that the wingspan measurement may not always be 100% accurate. Because if my remains are ever found and they measure my wingspan, they would probably say I was like around 6 feet tall. Okay? So we can't always go on wingspan measurement, because there are outliers. Okay? Within any given data set, you can have outliers. And so that's what I am. I'm an outlier in that I'm shorter than my wingspan, quite shorter in my opinion, than my wingspan would indicate. And the question could be asked, well, okay, how did your arms get so long? Hey, could it have been from all that hanging? Maybe. Okay, it could have been from hanging, or it simply could have been that I was, in my youth, I was meant to be around 6 feet tall, and I just didn't get there. And other parts of my body were growing while others weren't. Um, and it could be both. Okay, it could be both. Uh, yeah. Some of it could have been my natural growth from my youth, and some could have been from the hanging. And that could be why my wingspan is long compared to my height. The actual wingspan, by the way, I think was 73 inches. So that's like 6'1", something like that. Yeah. I think I measured it one time. It was 72 inches. Another time it was 73 inches or something like that. It was in a video, but I think that video is taken down. Anyway, so back to this tibial length stuff. You see that I do need the measurement of my tibia length, and from the video of my x-ray that I did a few years ago, when I had my x-ray done back in 2019, I was given a CD-ROM with my x-ray pictures on it, and also it had this feature wherein I could actually measure my x-ray, different portions of it. And so I decided to measure the length of my tibia. Now, I didn't actually know how to measure it, but here was one measurement that I got, 45.2 centimeters. Okay, that was one measurement, but I also got another measurement. Okay, and I measured from this portion right here. My previous measurement was like from around here. Okay, and that was 45.2 centimeters. But when I measured from right here, that was 44.8 centimeters. Okay, 44.8. Okay, so that's 4 millimeters less. Okay, now I looked up how to measure tibia length, and it turns out that where I should have measured was right here. Okay? So, based on my estimate, if measuring right here was 45.2 and measuring here was 44.8, I imagine measuring here might be 44.5 or 44.4. So to be safe, we'll just say 44.4 centimeters from here to there. And it turns out I measured that pretty good, because you want, based on how you measure tibia, it was right at the top there, and like in the middle between the femur and the tibia. You can look up how to measure tibial length. You can look it up yourself, okay? And so the number that we're going to go with is, it's not 44.8. We're going to go with 44.4, okay? Assuming we're measuring right about here. I would say that that will probably be the spot, because it has to be at that bony prominence. Okay? Now, using the formula, 44.4 times 1.24, that number plus 123, that's 178.056 centimeters. Okay? And I also wanted to know if it was, what if it's actually 44.5? Okay? Then that would be 178.18 centimeters. Okay? But let's just focus on this here. 178.056, because that would seem to be the bare minimum. That's 5'10". Okay? That's 5'10.1 inches. So, based on the data, and we got real specific data, we got the x-ray. Based on the data, I have a 5'10 tibia. Now, as you might imagine, when I looked at this, I was stoked. I was like, oh my goodness. I found this out at work. I was thinking about it. Because I had recently uploaded that post with the mummy. And, and I guess, I don't know, I must have been thinking about that. And I said, what about my tibia length? What would that say about my height? I honestly don't know what sparked the thought, but I do know recently I had uploaded that that post with the mummy. And so I thought about it, and I just started looking during my break at work. I started looking, and I saw, okay, boom, boom, boom. And I started doing the math. Man, when I saw the math on that, man, it just took me aback. I was like, oh, shoot, maybe I did grow. Maybe I did grow. And I'm going to give you some other information in that regard, but let's look at the other number. Remember, 44.5. So let's say we went with that number, 44.5. That would bring me to 5'10.15. Okay? So if it's somewhere in between these two, 5'10.10 or 5'10.15, we're looking at 5'10 and an eighth. Okay? 5'10 and an eighth. That's about what my tibia length says about my height. And so, like I said, I did do some stuff for my legs. And were they growing during that time? Again, I don't know. But my tibia is long for my height. Okay? And I'm assuming, obviously, that this would refer to a nighttime height. This would not refer to a morning height. This would refer to a height after a person has gone through their decompression. I've read that it may take 2 hours to go through full decompression. So really, by the time someone wakes up, goes to the doctor's office, and get their height measured, they're pretty much at full decompression, unless they've been sitting down in the waiting room or whatever. And they might gain about 1/4 of an inch maybe from sitting down. But at the end of the day, my point is, this 5'10" would be decompressed height. So that would mean my morning height, my tibia length, is telling me that I have a morning height of 5'11". Man, y'all. Hey, man, the words. It was a lot going through my mind. I'm not gonna make this video much longer than it already is, but so much was going through my head, and and to just think, my tibia length is saying that I have a morning height of around 5'11", and I'm like, that's an inch from 6 feet. And in the Grow Tall community, the legs are considered the hardest part of this Grow Tall thing. In a lot of people's mind, the legs are the hardest part. Now, in my mind, I don't think the legs have to be. But a lot of people think it's the hardest part. And in the hardest part, I'm already 5'11" in the morning. Man, that's some wild stuff, man. That's some wild stuff. And to think that what I had done years ago helped facilitate me being at that level. Now, let me tell you what happened back in 2013/2014. Around that time, and I may have told some people in some videos in the past. I have hundreds of videos that are actually unlisted right now or private. But anyway, I think in one of the videos of my past, I brought out that at some point, it actually felt like my legs got longer. And I remember feeling this, it was either 2013 or 2014. And I noticed that when I would reach down to pick up stuff, it was more difficult. And it felt like my legs were in the way. Literally. It felt like my legs were in the way. And I actually talked about this. And it was around the time I would ask my wife at the time, when I was married to her. I asked her, do my legs look longer to you? Do they look longer? I asked her. She said yeah, but that's what a wife's supposed to do, I guess. I don't know. But I think she was being honest. And she said yeah. And later I went to a relative's house. And I asked them, I said, in your opinion, would you say I have long legs for my body or short legs for my body or just regular legs that fit my body? Just you looking at me right now, what would you say? And the person said, I would say your legs are a little long for your body. That's what they said. And what sparked me to ask that question was that when I would reach down to pick up stuff, it didn't feel like my body. It didn't feel like it. It felt weird, like I was on stilts. I kid you not. That was literally my thought at that time. I felt a little bit like I was on stilts, reaching down to pick up stuff. Now, one of the ways that I explained it away, I kind of explained it away. I was like, well, maybe that might be because I gained some weight and my belly, my belly is making it more difficult for me to pick up stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe bending down, I got more belly in the way. But it wasn't like I had gained that much weight and then, I would gain the weight and then I would lose it. I would still have that difficulty. And then I started to wonder, well, maybe it's because all that stretching I've done, maybe my muscles are too stretched out and maybe I need to do some weight training on my hamstrings. Because I used to do the double-legged forward bend a lot. And I would do calf stretches like crazy. I would do calf stretches and then double-legged forward bend. Those are the stretches that I do. And I also go walking a lot. 3 miles minimum. Whenever I did go walking. And a lot of times I will try to keep in mind, make sure I take a calcium supplement before I go walking. So I would do some, I do some stretching and stuff to stretch everything out, and like take a calcium supplement along with the other stuff, calcium supplement, the blends. I call it blends. That's the cod liver oil and butter oil, and whatever else, any of my grow tall stuff. But I made sure calcium was in there. And I would take the stuff. As I remember, it was after I did stretching. Could have been before, but likely, I probably did it both. I may have taken some before I stretched and then a little bit more after I stretched. And then I go walking. And the walking was to bring the calcium to my legs. But not just regular legs. Bring the calcium to my stretched out legs. You see? There's a difference. I could bring calcium to my legs, or I could bring calcium to my legs after I had stretched them out like crazy. That was my mode of operation. That was my thinking. And so I went walking. And I would walk 3 miles minimum. And, that was my thing. And yeah, it got to a point where reaching down to pick up stuff, it wasn't the same. And it's like I would reach down, it's like my hands couldn't reach all the way down like they did before. And I realized, like, to actually pick up stuff in a safe way, I needed to squat to pick up stuff. Before, I really didn't have to squat like that and be focused on proper form and everything. But this time, from that point on, it was more squatting to pick up stuff. I just couldn't, bend over and pick up stuff all willy-nilly. And as I'm talking about it, that it does make me think of how taller people, they talk about how when they do squats in a gym or whatever, they have to people with longer legs, they have to exercise differently and stuff. But I never looked into that stuff. To this day, I never looked into it. But 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 now I see my tibia length. I see what it says, and now I think I should have been in the NBA. No, I'm playing. Ah, but I gotta tell you, man, that was a trip. That was a trip, man. And I was like, oh snap! And it's like getting taller ain't nothing now. Well, it's always been nothing. Like getting taller, in my mind, it ain't nothing but a thing. But then to see that the hard part has already been done, and it's like, so what? So the other height. So if I got a long tibia, maybe I got a long femur too. Especially if it was because of all that stretching. If it was because of my Grotol regimen that my tibia is that long, then my femur got to be long too. And so the only other height to get is in my torso, and that's child's play. That's how I'm thinking. That's easy. That's the easy stuff. But really, in my mind, I was thinking legs are easy too. It's just a mind trick for a lot of people. Years ago, I had a video series. It was called the Grow Science series, and I talked about reasons that legs can grow. One, I was saying legs or bones are alive, not dead, and living things grow. Dead things don't. Okay. I also talked about how bones are wet; they are not dry. Bones are full of they're innervated with blood vessels and everything. And then I talked about the wetter the better. So in other words, the more circulation the bones get, the better. And I also mentioned a story about how a person had an injury uh, in their leg. But one reason I took it down was because I couldn't verify whether the person was past the stage of growth or not. Because originally I thought I read a story about a person being past the stage of growth. They had an injury. Because of the injury, their leg got more vascularized because it was trying to heal, and due to the increased vascularization, one leg grew longer than the other. And when I went back to find what I thought I read, it turns out that in the story, the person was still of growing age. And I don't know if that was a story I had originally read, or if the story I read originally, I just didn't find it. I just couldn't find it again. And so since I couldn't verify it with, the paperwork, that's one of the reasons I decided to take all that down and, just talk about it again later. But that was in my Grow Science series, how if we want to get longer legs, the focus should be on circulation to the legs, because that's what's going to bring the nutrients to the legs so they can grow. I said the wetter, the better. And I may have talked about some other things, but that's what I remember so far. Legs are alive. Bones are alive. They're not dead. Bones are wet. They're not dry. And the wetter, the better. Anyway, I think my point to mentioning all that is that growing taller in the legs can be child's play as well. We just have to think differently, and that's the key. People need to think differently about the legs. Okay. And once one overcomes that hurdle, growing taller in the legs can be seen as simple. And so, anyway, from all of that being said, when I just take a step back, the way I see it is this: if my grow tall routine from back then actually made me taller in my legs, that's awesome. That's, however many cuss words you want to think about it. Try not to cuss in this video, but yeah, that's just doggone awesome. And the thing to do would be to continue the process. Get the legs of a 5'11" person. Get the legs of a 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" person. Yeah, so am I to stop growing taller in my legs if I actually affected growth in my legs? No. Keep going for more height increases in my leg. Okay? And if I didn't grow tall in my leg, which I think is highly unlikely, I think I grew taller in my legs. But anyway, if I didn't, well, you get taller somewhere else. And at the end of the day, I got taller. And if my tibia telling me I ought to be 5'11" in the morning, because that's what that's telling me, I ought to be 5'11" in the morning, well, go for it. I still got an inch and a half to go. I still got an inch and a half to go. And my arms say I got about 3 inches to go. 2.5, 3 inches to go. Wait a minute. No, even more than that, because when you think about morning height. Yeah. I'm trying to do the math here. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, point is, get taller. Everything's an excuse to get taller. If my legs grew, great, get taller. In my whole body, my legs and my torso, wherever else, get taller. If my legs did not grow, okay, great, get taller. Everything's an excuse to get taller. All right. Anything else I needed to say? I'm sure it is, but I'm not gonna ramble on. I'm not gonna do it. But I will say a lot of things did go through my head, and I feel better that it just wasn't in my brain, that I felt like I was on stilts. Even to this day, I feel that way. At times, I feel that way. Like, remember, bend down. And you got to think, like, most of my life, it wasn't like that. And it reminds me of what Dennis Rodman said when he had his crazy growth spurt. I'm not saying I'm like a Dennis Rodman, but a man found out he got a 5'10" tibia, and he think he belong in the NBA. But no. Dennis Rodman did say when he had that crazy growth spurt, he had to get used to his new body. He had to get used to it, and he was clumsy. He said he was clumsy, and he had to get, it was like a new experience for him. Yeah, that's what he said. Anyway, moving on. I thought this was interesting. Now, granted, this study, I think this study was in India, and so we know there's a height difference in India, at least depending on what region. I think some parts of India, the people are actually quite tall. Um, but anyway, when we look at this chart, a 44 centimeter tibia, that's way on the edge over there. I was like, dang. Y'all, I like to say this grow tall stuff works, even for the legs. I really want y'all to have that confidence, but it's okay if you feel like it's too early to have that confidence, because I mean, we don't have a before and after of the legs, but hey, at least we have a new before. Okay, all right. I did my X-ray, and who knows, somewhere down the line, I'll do another one. And I don't want to do another one unless I gain another 2 inches. I think I write that in my description. I put that in my description thing, and I think I said 2 inches. When I grow another 2 inches, maybe I'll get another X-ray, and then we can know for sure. So it's up to you. You can wait till I grow another 2 inches, and who knows, that might be never, or it might be this year. It might be this summer. I don't know. I don't know. So you can wait, or you can go ahead and go for what you know. You can't always wait for the study to come out before you do something. You can't always wait till somebody else do something before you do something. That ain't how to live. I think it was Tesla who said, like, the way the science community moves is with a psychosis. It's psychotic. It's like they don't believe anything is real unless it's in a study. If it's not in a study, it is not real. That's psychotic. That's crazy. That's not how we should move. But society tells us that's how to think. Society, academia, they tell us that's how to move. But that's actually not the proper way to move. We should move on a different basis than that. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. You can wait on the study. Wait till somebody else do it before you have permission to move. Hey, you do what you want to do. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that I'm way on this side of the chart here. Yeah. And then a person with a shorter tibia was way over here, over 185 centimeters. So it's like, whatever the tibia length, it ain't no excuse to be short if you can be taller. Ain't no excuse. I mean, in this context, ain't nothing wrong with being short. I'm just saying, if one can be taller, and they want to be taller, they can't be pointing to certain body parts as an excuse to not even try. Here, look, apparently someone with a 41 point something centimeter tibia was over 180 centimeters tall. It's crazy. So if I match that person's performance with my 5'10" tibia, I ought to be over 6 feet right now with a 5'10" tibia. And then it would be said that I have a short tibia for my height. So what? And so, I use everything to encourage me. So with my 5'10" tibia, am I supposed to think, well, the tallest I can get is 5'10"? No. Because I'm looking right here, somebody with a 40-inch tibia. What wasn't even 40 inches, and they had 180 centimeters right here. A little over 180 centimeters. Are you kidding me? So if this person's tibia is 39 point some centimeters, and I got a tibia of 44.4 centimeters, yeah, man, I need to be up in these 190s over here somewhere. Yeah, and I just say, yeah, oh yeah, dude, I got a short tibia for my height. Hey, go figure. See, that's how I would talk if I'm taller. You got to talk different when you're taller. You saw, you heard how my voice was more cooler. I was cooler, taller. You heard that? Hey, that's, that comes with the territory. You get taller, you sound cooler. Yeah, dude. I have a short tibia. How cool people laugh. Well, anyway, I'll find out once I get cool. I'll let you know. I don't leave you hanging. All right. I had to do the math right here. I just had to. Okay. What if the 45.2 was real? You see that? Boom, boom, boom. See 45.2? What if that was real? 5'10" and a half. 5'10" and a half. Which would mean about 5'11" and a half in the morning. Which is a half of a foot. No, a half of an inch from 6 feet. Yeah. 5'11" and a half in the morning. Because I think about that too. I think, what's the morning height? What's the morning height? Anyway, that's enough for me. I know you might be thinking about some other subject matter, but I'm just making this video. I just wanted to make this video about this right now, okay? Peace out. I'm out of here. Yeah, yeah, yeah.